Rawr!
angry about taxes.
When did we all get this dumb? Almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and nuclear warfare. I don't see any bodies, so it doesn't count.
I'm angry about taxes.
I'm the chef. I want to hear one thing. Yes, chef. Come on, man. Use your brain. The Why I'm Angry podcast starts now. All right. Taking a bit to get the transitions going here. It's the Why I'm Angry podcast. I am the chef. Here again for another energized segment of just hilarity. So, Jboots is on here with me. He will, I'll show him in just a second. Make sure that you're getting on the whyimangry.com. Our merch store. We may have to do a little bit of reorganizing here. So if you can really get in there and help us, that would help us have to do a little less reorganizing. We are a follower funded, listener funded, podcasting funded. We fund ourselves. So anything that you can do to help, whether it's follow, like, and share, get our name out there, or give a couple bucks, that would all help. So here in the freestyle man cave studio, I got Jboots. Jboots.
Hello, internet people.
Yeah. So big bomb going off here today, just in a couple hours ago. President Trump has been convicted of 34 counts of felony in the state of New York.
So that just means he has to move to Pennsylvania? Or?
I mean, sure. Bench warrants, be what they are. Pulled up in his Mar-a-Lago resort haven home. I mean, for something like this, if they really wanted to get him for years and years, like to actually, like, lock him up, would they give him like house arrest type thing?
Nah. They'd give him a nice jail time.
Well, and that's what, like, they're saying that he can get up to 4 years per conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah. The defense argued that a monthly $35,000 payment made to Cohen in 2017, totaling $420,000, were for legal services. However, Cohen claimed a portion of the funds were reimbursement for his payment to Daniels.
Wow.
What? Go on, you say what you were going to say first.
I think he should just do the maximum 4 years and do the 136 years and just be done and get out.
Right. Yes, definitely. That's it. He should definitely do 136 years. He'll be 212.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he can then, or 214 or something, and then he can run for president again.
Yeah, by that point, everything will have been absolved and pardoned, and then he can run again and be the savior that everyone thinks he is.
What I love is that people think he's going to run for president. We're going to elect him president while he's in jail, and then he's going to pardon himself out of jail as the newly elected president in prison.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It's got all kinds of class.
I think there's issues with that, but because I'm not sure that we can elect a incarcerated person.
Yeah, but have we ever tried?
No, I mean, I guess not. But we could be like South Africa. They've done okay for themselves.
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela and all. He didn't turn out to be embezzling crazy person. Um, so so what gets me here is giving someone money as a settlement, is that illegal?
only if it's appointed by a court, right?
It's only legal or illegal?
No, it's only legal if you appoint it. If some judge somewhere says, "Hey, you owe restitution or whatever," make it right. But if you do it off the record, then it's illegal
Why?
because Congress said so.
No.
That's what Congress does, isn't it?
Yeah,
Aren't
Congress
aren't they
takes
said?
bribes. That's called bribery,
Oh,
and that
I
part
think
is illegal.
I think we're splitting
So
hairs.
that's called buying
Yeah,
buying the votes, and that is illegal because that is actually a protected deal in your voting laws and things.
not my voting laws.
But I love this. You go on Google and you ask if hush money is legal, and it says the next question is hush money taxable?
I'm going to report that to the IRS. That's funny.
um, because really, hush money would be just a settling out of court.
Yeah,
It's just a settle. It's just money that you've given them to not keep their lawsuit or testify or whatever it is, and it's your prerogative whether you will whether you take that transaction or not.
yeah,
Because if you don't, you just go on and do your deal and sink the ship or whatever you're doing. But if you take the money, then it's just as unethical, as sad as this sounds, to come back and then be like, "Well, I took the money,"
yeah. It also looks bad.
and and then sink the ship anyhow. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, like, if if he had killed somebody, fine. But this is hush money for having an illicit affair or having sex with a prostitute, which in itself is bad. You shouldn't do that. There's plenty of people out there that you don't have to pay and things of that nature. But and as a Christian, you're supposed to be married before you do those things. But anyhow, I like how this is a felony account somehow because we just made it that. We just
Hmm.
charged him with 34 counts of felony, whatever. And
Business fraud is what they said.
right, that's what they're saying is that it's federal elections campaign act. He falsified falsification of his business records, which, like, how far are they leaping for that?
Right.
Like, this is a personal matter.
Yeah.
He Cohen has already admitted or
Yeah.
has lied back and forth on whether he was his personal attorney or not. So if Trump paid his personal attorney to give
Right.
this lady hush money, that's a personal matter, and that is not part of his having to put campaign, like, that's not part of the campaign. That's not
Right.
part of his business dealings.
Right. Yeah. It blows my mind that that's where we're at. I mean, I don't think the guy is is the savior that everyone thinks he is, but still, I think he has some right to a personal life, and some of this doesn't need to be exposed and manipulated and twisted the way it has been.
I think this shows so much how scared of them they are.
Yeah,
How
for
scared of
sure.
him they are. And
Yeah.
yes, he may not be he's definitely not the savior. He's definitely not like
Hmm.
yeah, he's not the Antichrist. And he's not the savior from he's not holding back the flood walls or anything like that. But I mean, in all honesty, if you want somebody that he has a level of redemption to him,
Hmm.
he's going to get his. I mean, he always has.
Hmm.
If you look at his story as a kid, yes, his parents gave him money, but he's used that money to gain wealth. He's used that money to better himself. And if you look at the actual stories behind the stories, he's used that money sometimes to help people out that nobody else was helping out.
Right.
Families from military that the government said, yeah, you're not worth it.
Yeah.
People from 9/11 that got checks in the mail with just checks in the mail
Right.
that don't know it came from Trump. So,
Yeah.
I don't think he's the greatest man on earth, but I don't think he definitely doesn't deserve crap like this where they're just,
Right.
you make crap up and you're like, "Yeah, because I'm in New York, I hate Trump." Even though Trump has like held up the economy here in New York for years.
Right. Yeah, he's a great philanthropist. It's
Yeah.
just it's just that now for some reason that's what we do in this country is we just fixate on these celebrity, these prominent people, these celebrity people, and they all we do is just really drill it to them, and all because they have money or they have notoriety, and then all of a sudden it's something that we can do because we can't focus our brain waves on actually taking down like Congress, and
Well,
in my opinion needs major reformation. Um, but we can pick on celebrities and prominent people. So
what I like, and what's sad about it is it's not about like they don't care about Congress because for some reason they don't see that Congress is the actual person, the actual group that's making your life terrible. You don't see that the Congress is actually the ones putting in these bills or actually putting in this, signing the raise the interest rates and signing the actual paperwork for that.
yeah.
It's not the president. The president's an executive. He's like the police chief. He's like
Right.
the guy that should be over on the border saying, "You can come in, you can't come in, you can't come in, you can't." He's the one that's supposed to be setting that up. He's the guy is the commander in chief of the military. He doesn't make laws.
Right.
So if these laws are hurting you, well, where do we go? We go to Congress. And those guys are easy to vote out. You just get 4,000 of your buddies and you vote them out.
Right.
Because those guys have a small area. They may have 10 to 100,000 constituents, and you just get rid of them.
Hmm.
But we don't do that because, for one, we don't unite against anything except for people who stand in front of abortion clinics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't unite against anyone except for that cop that shot that black guy that was brutally, holding liquor stores up by gunpoint and beating him senseless.
Yeah.
And so he shot him because it was his life or the other guy's life. So we stand up for that. We'll burn a target in a second,
Yeah.
but we won't, we're not here for the real purpose You know, we're still being selfish. We're still here for our own gain. We're gonna burn a Target and walk out with a TV. We're gonna we're gonna burn that Sam's Club, that Walmart. Walmart is moving out of cities because be, because you you can't they can't make money there because they're getting robbed at every second, and the police won't even respond.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's mayor just said they will not be responding to any nonviolent crimes
Yeah.
that aren't going on right now. So if you've been murdered, you're going to sit there for a while. It's cool. They'll respond when the investigator gets in the morning at 9 a.m.
When they have time,
Yep. When the
we will get
investigator
to
shows
you.
up,
Please
they're
be
going
patient.
to they're going to reduce their force down to 20 responding officers. I lived in Pittsburgh. 20 responding officers. That town is humongous.
Yeah.
It's like, don't take a bus anywhere because you won't get there for hours. And
Right.
don't try to walk, because I tried to walk from just outside of Pittsburgh into Pittsburgh. 3 hours. I was still like 15 miles out of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a fat guy. I don't walk fast. But so the referendum isn't like, we're not killing the messenger. We're just killing the figurehead.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, Trump's not. You wonder why Trump didn't drain the swamp? Because Congress didn't want to be drained.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, you can tell me you hate Trump and you can tell me all these bad things, and that's great. And you are entitled to your opinion, to all this hatred and all these bad things that you think Trump did. And that's great. But if you silence him and shut him up, there's just going to be another guy. And there's going to be someone else for you to hate. And there's going to be someone else for you to pick on. And no one wants to do anything about the real problem. And that is, in my opinion, that is Congress. But that might be better suited for another podcast.
no, it's Congress that's the issue. And honestly, it's sad because we talked about this. We talked about who we thought was the best candidate, and we talked about who we thought was actually electable.
Mm-hmm.
And the best candidate is 9 times out of 10 not electable. Because I thought Scott out of South Carolina was one of the best candidates. And he's not electable because he doesn't talk like Trump. He's not loud and bombastic. He has a record of in the private sector being great.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have a record of being great in any other in government or anything like that. He doesn't have a record of having some kind of social media career or anything like that. He's not Herman Cain or any of those guys. He's from the military. He built himself up. He's made millions of dollars in business. He's a hardworking dude that just he knows how to run a business and a country. Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
worked in the higher ups in different areas, and he's worked in the government and stuff. It's not that he hasn't been in government. It's just he just doesn't have a name for himself.
Right.
And it's just like DeSantis. DeSantis has a proven record of running a state, one of the larger states in the country, one of the bigger economies in the country, and honestly, as being one of the bigger economies in the country, he's been one of the bigger economies in the world. And although he doesn't have to deal with all of the trade between China and all of that, and maybe he could be a tiny bit naive on some of that stuff, business is business and trade is still trade. You're going to figure out the best deal for your people. Hopefully you're figuring that out, because we haven't been figuring that out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We're just figuring out the best deal for our own pockets. And that's not my pocket or Jboots' pocket. That's the pocket that the congressman has, and you can see that because they make somewhere around 100 to 150,000 a year in their salary. Maybe they've given themselves raises up over 200,000, but most of their bank accounts all over the last 5 to 10 years have ballooned to millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say, well, my side hustle, your side hustle is not side hustling. It is hustling inside. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
you're hustling in somebody's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because if you looked at 15 years ago, I remember looking and 3/4 of the congressmen in Congress were either bankrupt or had less than $100,000 in the bank. So what's changed? I mean, Biden had zero money. Like he was one of the worst.
Yeah.
What's changed? They got better jobs now they seem smarter, so they go to colleges and get $100,000 speaking fees, or yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, just and honestly, he's gonna appeal this. It's gonna go up the chain. Sometime it will finally get out of New York State, where there's a judge with a brain, and that judge is going to say this is the biggest pile of baloney that has come across my desk in years, and he's going to throw it out.
Mm.
Hopefully, I mean, like, if you have faith left in the country or in any human beings, there are probably maybe 5 or 6 people left that maybe will say this is crap and throw it out.
Right.
So hopefully, one of those people, it comes through their desk and he says this is crap and throws it out.
That would be nice, but I think Trump can still do some good for this country that we live in. Like I said, I don't think he's the savior that everyone thinks he is, but
No, it's definitely not.
but I think he can do some good for the country overall, even though that's going to be largely debatable. But
I yeah.
so like you said, yeah, just what's the smart play here?
I mean, like I said, the smart play when I was talking about it in the off time is that Biden goes up and just he wipes it clean.
Yeah,
That he pardons him, and then Trump doesn't get a chance to go. Look at my opponent. He attacked me. Look at my opponent. He's trying to put me in jail. You know, and all of that. And you get no photo shoot of Trump in orange with orange hair and orange face. You get no orange man photo shoot. You get no campaign ads. You honestly, you cut the head off the snake.
yeah,
Not that Biden can still get elected then, but we're looking a lot closer at JFK Jr.
yeah, for sure.
And that's a guy that I'm not super excited about.
Nope.
I mean, on paper, he's done nothing, and he looks like he's done nothing, which
He's
is
been an
why
unknown.
he's untouchable.
Yeah,
Be, you know, if you've done something, look at Ted Cruz, look at Rand Paul, look at any number of people, look at John Boehner, look at all of those guys that have done something, and because they've done something, you probably can't be elected.
yeah,
But if you've done nothing, go ahead. You're a clean slate. Look at Barack Obama. Never did anything.
Yeah.
In his life. Never did anything. Was elected. Could speak a good speech. When I saw him coming up, I thought, wow, he's charismatic for a Democrat. Like, he can do some things. He's gonna go somewhere. And then I saw him speak in a debate, and I was like, holy smokes, he's got a great speechwriter, and he cannot actually speak.
Yeah.
But nobody cares about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't mean
You don't
anything to anyone anymore.
you don't have it's like actors and actresses these days. You don't have to be the whole package. You used to have to be like Judy Garland, who could sing and dance and act all at once and was, just beautiful. And and now you barely have to, be able to stand upright.
All you have
You
to do
either
is
look
sell
a
your
certain
soul and
way.
you'll become a celebrity.
What's that?
All you have to do is sell your soul and you'll become a celebrity.
That's right. That's right. Which is probably why we're on here, pleading for support and that we don't have our souls anymore because we've given them to God and all of that. So it's hard to sell that soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
About that. So yeah, I don't know, man. So in this, I thought, man, there's got to be Trump riots everywhere, right?
There should be.
Yeah. Small group of Trump reporters angry outside of the courthouse. Lots of people yelling not guilty. Is that it? Yep, pretty much.
Like one article on it.
3 paragraphs, maybe 4.
And
They
6
do,
people.
yeah, they do mention a guy who was there. He was arrested after the January 6th riots. He was at the rally.
But that in quotes, riots.
Yes, riots. The January 6th insurrection.
Insurrection.
Yeah, it's just the January 6th sit-in. I don't know. I if we have half a brain, we'll look back at that and be like, that was the stupidest thing in history. Like, we had a bunch of LARPers running around our Congress. We should be like, we should be appalled with our own security setup that we just let a bunch of guys with did you see those people? Some of those guys were like walking around in furs and
Yeah.
just they were there for the pageantry of it. Nobody was out. Well, nobody was looting or burning or
Yeah. The Capitol Police let them in because they have a right to be there, and they were very cooperative and appreciative of being let in, and they call it a riot.
The only person shot was shot by Capitol Police.
Right.
One person.
Right.
And a guy died because he had a heart attack because he got too excited.
Yeah. That's
That
just
guy
because
should
he
be a
was on the
security
wrong
guard.
beta blocker. I mean,
Oh my gosh. I've got some friends, which is a thing. I still got some friends. But I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, "Oh, they're saying there was a lot more going on in that thing." Yeah, cuz Antifa had guns and we're
yeah.
walking around. It's a surprise that Antifa didn't shoot up a bunch of people in the crowd and be like, "Look, it's a bloodbath. Woo, insurrection." I don't know. Yep, so I found one article so far. Small group of Trump supporters angry outside of the courthouse. They staked out outside the courthouse throughout the trial. They've been yelling, "Not guilty, not guilty." That's pretty controversial right there. One guy calls himself Pitchfork Pete. He's 40. He's from Brooklyn. He chimed in with not guilty, but sprinkled a few profanities in there.
Well, now
That
we've
guy
got
should
something.
be that guy should be arrested. He should be thrown into jail for the rest of his life.
How
Insurrection.
how far out do you think we are from Minority Report? Like how close is this country becoming to Minority Report?
What gets me is like 5 years ago I said this is Wag the Dog. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman? And I
Yeah.
said this is Wag the Dog, and everybody looked at me like, oh, I don't understand. I don't know if you can find that movie anymore
Right.
because they basically took that, like Biden watched that movie and was like, can we do this for real? And they did it.
Yeah.
Go back and look it up. Find the movie. Watch the movie. And then go, they did it.
That's what they're doing.
Holy crap.
That's funny.
So, just to kind of put some reference on this. In Chicago, there's a woman who's caught on camera stealing a Chicago police SUV, not just by body cam, is caught like with ring cams and the surveillance cameras that they have on the road and all of that, because if you think you're walking around in Chicago not being on camera, you're wrong. You lied to yourself. Just smile. So she's on camera attacking, dragging the officer, and was charged with attempted murder. Surveillance cameras got it. They have another guy who responded to shots fired. He saw Temple half naked in the street. When he stopped to help her, she jumped up from the pavement, so she was half naked while stealing his car. I mean, this guy officer obviously is the best of the best. And she walked around him, jumped in his car, and then yelled at him, "Let me go. This has nothing to do with you."
Huh.
Then she's seen he somehow got caught on the car, like she hit him, and he was being drugged by the car. She hit another car behind her with the police car, and then somehow he got free of the vehicle, and she went on a bit of a joyride, as they say. She drove the vehicle to a gas station, got out while it was still rolling, went into the station. I don't know whether she bought anything, she stole something, she came back out, jumped in the car, and drove away. Took the car on a high-speed chase where she weaved in and out of traffic around expressways and ran through red lights. After hitting 5 occupied cars, she got out and ran down the block until police were finally able to arrest her.
Oh, well, she did some stuff.
This is almost a Florida man.
Right. A little north, but
The story itself is almost a Florida man story. I mean, like,
yeah.
if she had not just like thrown an alligator at 3 twins and pooped on a desk, that would have been a Florida man. Blown her hand off with some fireworks.
Yeah.
Maybe been shooting some Roman candles out the windows while the police were chasing her. This would be a Florida man. But because she was only half dressed and, instead of just not dressed at all. So in true Chicago fashion, Temple was hired as a lead account at the city's Department of Family and Supportive Services while the case was still pending. She lost her job earlier this year after her hiring became public knowledge. Temple posted bail that had been set at $2 million, but her attorney filed an appeal, and they said it was excessive. The appellate court dropped it down to $7,500, and then she got an ankle monitor, which was removed last year, and she was found not guilty
Hmm.
by reason of insanity.
Oh, good. We don't use that one enough.
What I want to know is how the city's Department of Family and Supportive Services hired this lady while the case was still pending.
Well, it was probably on Indeed.
You're so broken. Oh, like this had to have been at least a news story. Maybe it's not major in Chicago. Maybe this happens all the time. It's definitely not a Florida man story, so it's not in Florida. It doesn't happen all the time. But
Didn't they ban guns in Chicago?
yeah, that's why she wasn't shot to death on the site. It wasn't a Texas story.
Oh,
Yeah, she would have been laying down half naked and being shot right there. I
yeah.
know this is a trick. Pow!
Got him.
Miss,
Got him.
good to see you today. Drive around her and go on home.
God bless Texas.
Yeah, they hired her as a lead at Job and Family and Supportive Services while she's wearing an ankle monitor.
So we're supposed to follow her lead, right?
Yes, obviously, if you have no nothing, you can riot, you can shoot, you can steal the police car, you can go on a joyride, you can do whatever you do in a convenience store while the car's still running and rolling, and
And none of it is bad.
almost kill multiple people,
Yeah.
and somehow get off because for a moment you were insane in Chicago. It's not a real violent crime. She only hit them with a car.
Yeah, that's not too violent.
No.
Did we get Tiger Woods' opinion on this?
No, we didn't talk to Tiger Woods. We don't talk about him anymore. He's not black, he's Asian.
Oh, gotcha.
So
That also feeds into another stereotype.
but he can't drive? Is that what we're saying? Are we going there? That he can't
Yep.
drive?
Yep.
I mean, he did wreck in his neighbor's yard with a golf club in the back of his head.
Had to do it. Had to be someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just looking here to see if there's anything we needed to really talk about on the rest of the headlines today. Israel is attacking. They're blowing stuff up. People are pissed. Ireland, Norway, and Spain yesterday formally recognized a Palestinian state based on the borders established before the Arab and Israel war in 1967. What gets me is they can't even tell you who the Israel fought.
Mm-hmm.
Because they fought everybody.
Yeah.
To get their country.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you think about the Jewish state or any of that. But Israel's the real deal. Like even if it's not for Christianity, we need to keep Israel an ally, because for one, they're the only ones there with a straight head.
Yeah.
They're the only ones out there in Arabia, Arab country, Middle East, whatever, Midwest, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. In that big sandbox that has any sort of brain to them, that has any kind of moral compass, that cares, one, about women, and as for women, they have an equal rights deal. Women
Yep.
are drafted into the military also. It's
Yes.
not just men. It's
Yeah.
women. You do your
Men and
2 years
women.
in the
Yeah.
military.
Yep.
No matter who you are. You
Yeah.
want equal rights? Here you go.
I'm actually
Boom.
kind of
Go to the
terrified of their Mossad organization.
right, as you should be. Nobody knows what it is, who it
Right.
is, what they
Right.
do, and who they are.
Right.
Like, half of Russia's counterinsurgency program is Mossad, and they just
Right.
don't even know it.
Right.
That's why they're not beating Ukraine, because
Right.
half of them are Mossad, and they're just like, no, 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 this is the funnest vacation ever.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
they're next level. Yeah, they're next level.
because in all honesty, I knew, and I've said this before, I knew Israel was something when the Palestinians were attacking. They were attacking them, and they blew up like 3 or 4 soldiers, just regular soldiers, not like, I mean, it just was just like a couple of guerrilla warfare guys came in with a small, and blew up a building with 3 or 4 soldiers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel's response to that was 7 Apache helicopters. And they Hellfire missiled a limousine with the leader of their insurgency group. Like, they didn't just like drop the helicopter, pull him out, beat him up a little bit, shoot him once, or even with I mean, those they have 50 cals, automatic 50 cals on those attack Apache attack helicopters. They didn't do any of that. They just Hellfire missiled it and then flew their 7 helicopters that they didn't really need 7 of back.
Well, they just took it for prosperity.
Well, I mean, you got it. When you get the chance, you take your helicopters out. I mean, it's like when there's a fire, you take all the trucks.
Yeah. No, they did it right. They did a good thing by taking all 7.
But yeah, so yeah, they're fighting in Rafah now. They're taking Rafah, which the UN court ordered it to halt military operations that
Yeah.
could lead to losses and further civilian lives. I mean, how did we find the magic bullet? Like, we found the manufacturer for the magic bullet in Kennedy, where we can just shoot guys that we want to shoot, and we're not going to shoot anybody regular, anybody that's civilian, and those bullets can actually like identify them. They have AI capabilities to identify whether it's a civilian or a militant. We found that guy. Sweet. Let's do
Yeah.
this.
Sweet.
Now, there's always going to be casualties, and as much as I would love them to preserve life, they've got to do what's best for them. They've got to do what's best for their country,
Yeah.
and that's protecting them. And you want to say, "Oh, this is genocide?" Less than 1% of the population from Gaza is this Hamas group.
Mm-hmm.
If they wipe out this Hamas group, that's not genocide. That's cleaning up your streets.
Right. Because some people actually believe that they are a terrorist organization.
Right. Like
The ones we're cleaning.
90% of the world.
Yeah.
Like pretty much anybody with half a brain that can actually think for themselves and things of that nature. Obviously, no one in our colleges and that, but our education departments and stuff. But I sometimes wonder if they have half a brain.
Collectively, they do.
Okay. So
We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
that's right. As of yesterday, the Trump trial neared end.
At least it's over for him.
At least so. Now he can figure out. Yeah, now he can actually leave New York and start campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's going to jail and he's not leaving New York, but he's still campaigning just the same.
Yeah. Are we letting incarcerated folk vote these days, or
I was thinking that you couldn't vote as a felon, can you?
no? You can't vote as a felon.
It's a good thing he has a lot of guys and friends that have guns. Now, this is it too. Can he have secret security with guns now? Because you're really not supposed to, as a convicted felon, have guns. And are you allowed to associate like with people that are carrying guns?
That's a good question.
Because you're not
I
allowed
know that
to associate while you're on parole with like drug dealers and other known felons.
yeah. So he's not allowed to associate with Congress
Right. Right.
because they're all a bunch of felons, in my opinion.
Drug dealers.
Definitely drug.
Drug dealers. Uh
Mostly just the prostitution that gets me.
well, you've got to have something to do.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
I think he's not. I don't think he'll be able to touch a weapon, but I think he might still be able to have private security that can do that on his behalf. But I could also
I
just
do.
headbutting people and going from there. So
I mean, that is always my my go-to. Find the biggest guy in the bar, headbutt him, and you don't have any more problems for the week.
right,
You know, especially since I'm not normally the biggest guy in there.
yeah, good times.
T-Mobile acquired U.S. Cellular. This is what gets me. And I know we're just kind of jumping around now. But T-Mobile announced yesterday it will acquire most of U.S. Cellular's wireless operations, including $4.5 million customers, 620 stores, in a $4.4 billion deal. The transaction, which combines cash and up to $2 billion in debt, aims to improve coverage and speed in rural areas by providing U.S. cellular customers with access to T-Mobile's 5G network. T-Mobile's 5G network is trash.
Yeah,
Like here in Dayton, I could be in Dayton and my T-Mobile network would be terrible.
yeah,
I should have 5G in Dayton. Dayton isn't like top 100 cities, but I should still have 5G
yeah.
in Dayton. I got
on
like
paper.
300,000 people here, close to,
Yeah,
we're within range of Cincinnati and Columbus.
yeah.
Millions of people come through all the time.
For the Troy Strawberry Festival, yeah.
Right, that's it. Or down 75 and 70, where millions and millions of people are being trafficked also. So,
Oh,
I mean, we're the trafficking capital of the U.S. We should have at least good cell phone service.
yeah. What is it? 1-800-henchman? How do you get? How do you get more? How do you get more bad guys going down your interstate?
Billboards. But no, what gets me on this is the deal includes U.S. Cellular retaining 70% of its spectrum. The invisible radio frequency, the spectrum is the invisible radio frequencies that wireless signals travel over. I feel like I've just been mansplained. And 4,400 telecom towers, while leasing about 2,100 towers to T-Mobile. So, what did T-Mobile get? The customers and some stores, and they get to lease some towers. Yep.
I feel like that's going to be really good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it says the transaction has been approved by U.S. Cellular's board and is expected to close mid 2025, pending regulatory approval. Which this is where it gets me: is two big companies, mostly nationwide. I mean, U.S. Cellular, I think, is semi-regional, has a good sized area, but um, not full nationwide. And they're allowed to. I mean, it says that the acquisition is unlikely to face any significant challenges. Where the AT&T T-Mobile merger failed because they were not allowed. It was creating too much of a monopoly, even though there's still Verizon and there's still Patriot Mobile and all those other crazy people, Mint and all that.
Mm.
But this is okay. This is cool. We'll just take two companies, and one company will get a terrible deal, and all of the customers, the other company will get all the equipment that they need and start their own. I don't know, more like they're getting what was it, $4.4 billion. So, and they keep all of their most of their towers. They're releasing a few towers, and I mean this makes zero, like, the one thing you can always get is more customers. I mean, kind of. I mean, unless you're like Spectrum, where you just like pee on your customers all the time, and then you send somebody to a guy's house that said pound sand, and because MetroNet came along and is better and faster and everything like that, and just as expensive, as cheaper, or uh, the same price, and you send the lady to the door, and he says, "I don't care if you pay me to get Spectrum, I'm out." For 10
Yeah.
years, you were a monopoly. You were a monopoly in the area for having high speed internet. And now
Mm.
that you're not, you're now crying and sniveling at my door. That was just a friend of mine.
Yeah. That's
Or,
why I signed up with them, is so that I could get abused.
yeah, that it was, and then I got married, and then the abuse kept coming, and I was like, I already got married, so I don't.
Bingo. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really getting abused by my significant other, my partner, my life partner.
Does your partner know how to define what a woman is?
No, but she knows it when she sees it. What's sad is, and this is just a rabbit hole that I'm letting you guys into my life just a second. But what's sad is my 2-year-old knows the correct pronouns for male and female. That daddy's a him and mommy's a her.
Did you see? Yeah. Did you see that Mike Todd, that preacher guy, Mike Todd?
Yeah.
Did you see that segment he did about how he wished that he wished that that God made more than one gender or more than the two genders, and it would be easier for him to go through life. You should check it out. Like he was almost like placating to the audience, but he was trying to say biblical truth and say that there are only two genders, and he was standing behind the word of God, saying that God created man and woman, and that's it. But the way he went about it, he was talking about how it would be easier in my life if I could just be like, yeah, this person's this is, and this person's this, and yada yada yada. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when he was talking about um, the gay and lesbian setup, like just what his beliefs were on gay and
Yeah,
lesbian belief theology,
yeah,
and it was super weak. I don't know. I don't know if that was during the same time or whatever, but it was the same. It was the same premise. Like he's like, I wish that the Bible said black and white whether gay and or whether gay was being gay was a sin. And it's like, okay, we
yeah,
may not. Maybe we're not reading the same translation.
yeah.
Maybe the translation that you have is Mormon,
There are
or
quite a
maybe
few
it's
translations.
a translation that just the guy decided he didn't believe in this, and you know that was the deal.
I have a hard time getting behind these internet guys because of this. It's like,
Well, what's sad is,
and the Stephen Furtick thing. I've been over Stephen Furtick. Like, everyone still thinks he's great and all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not in his camp. I'm not on his bandwagon.
did you
Like,
see his sweater the other day?
couple of years ago, I was like, I did enjoy some of Mike Todd's content, but now that he seems questionable on the fence on some of this, I'm like, all right, maybe I have to step
Well,
away.
it's all good until you have to take a stance.
Yeah,
And you're going to have, like, as a Christian, one day you're going to have to take a stance.
yeah,
You're going to have that one friend or that one whatever, but God is going to make you take a stance. And you're going to have to stand up for what you believe. And that's
yeah,
kind of the rite of passage of becoming a sold out born again Christian is, yes, you take your stand and you say, yes, I believe in God and I believe that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, but there's going to be a point in life where you have to stand up for what you believe in. And most people crumble.
yep,
And luckily, you know, it's not a prerequisite for making it to heaven. Your belief, your total belief in God, as long as you continue to believe, will get you there. But God wants you to be better than that. He wants you to be bigger than that. He wants you to be more than a conqueror. And, look at Peter. 3 times the day that he watched Christ die on the cross, he denied, he had to take a stand, and he did not take the stand. But he's also the starter of the first church
hmm,
and the church in Rome and everything. Like he is the church plant man of the universe.
hmm,
Like he started the big churches. So thank you, Peter, for Catholicism. But you know, in that, if you look at the Bible, it's everyone had to make a stand.
yep,
You want to do something great for God? You want to be famous for Jesus? Probably your fame is going to come from your beheading or your crucifixion.
yep,
But in that time, you'll get a chance to make a stand for God, and you'll get a chance to put it down. And that's what you're saying here is that most of these guys they don't have a clue. You can read all the fun parts, but there's going to come a time when somebody's going to come out and ask you, am I sinning? Am I going to hell? And
Right.
you've got to either say yes or do you not want to? Because we got a plan.
Yep.
And you got to know what you're going to say when that happens. It's silly and funny to say, but people don't really know what they're going to do until they get punched in the face. You don't know what you're going to do unless you've been there and been punched in the face. You don't know what you're going to do when you're punched in the face.
Yeah. Your body will not go where your mind has not been.
Right. And so, and and we all face it. Like I faced it back in the day when I was, when I started out being a youth pastor. I made about year and a half, 2 years figuring out what I was doing, and all of a sudden I got asked about, what do we believe about being, about lesbians going to heaven or you know, and I think things have changed and morphed and I feel and I have a strong sense now. At that point, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Bible said. So, yeah. And what's sad is he's not just an internet guy. He has like a 30,000, 10,000 person church
Yeah.
and rocks it out 3-4 times a week or and I mean his book Crazy Faith is great. It is a great work of the Holy Spirit, faith-filled
Hmm.
believing.
Yeah.
But somewhere in this, you know, you decided to buy a $1,000 sweater and get a $500 haircut, and people noticed online.
Yeah.
And really, who cares about that? But
Oh yeah, Furtick wearing that pink sweater that was two
like
thousand dollars.
like
Yeah.
what the heck? Like the
Yeah.
outfit looked
I saw that.
terrible.
It was horrible. First of all, secondly, yeah, that's nothing that you should fixate on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Mike Todd thing with him like saying, "I wish there could be 4 or 5 different genders to make it
Right.
easier." I'm like
I
that.
wish
That's
the
where I'm
Bible
like, well,
said.
now because now we're taking the gospel and we're changing it. So we're perverting it.
Well,
So
yeah, we're just anything can mean anything in a man's mind.
well, it seemed at least that's the way it came across.
Right.
So and of course I
And
didn't
that's
watch
what's
the full 2 hour segment. So I didn't
and
get
that's
context, but
yeah.
whatever.
And that's honestly the sad part about it is like I just watched a kind of a it was a learning class from his ex social media manager. And honestly, he doesn't have that big of a social media like department. It's only like 3 people. Or at least it used to be. And it was interesting to see what he was saying and what he thought like that whole big like Christmas thing that they did that got blown out, that concert that yeah, that was and he's like honestly, he goes the guy that was there, he goes I didn't have anything to do with it other than I was there videotaping and stuff like that. He goes and honestly, he goes the heart of that was not what was portrayed. And that's the unfortunate part. But he didn't do himself any favors by coming out and saying, "Listen, I didn't realize this was what was coming out." Or I didn't, or I didn't want this to come out like this. He goes, he didn't come out and say, he just dug his heels in and said, this is what I'm doing. Sometimes you got to do that and sometimes you got to, one of the hardest things we haven't we haven't, as a couple generations now, we haven't taught the generations to say I'm sorry.
Or that they can be wrong.
Right. There is no there's no like I learned early on, I ran my grandpa's truck into a barn. I, did stupid things. We were always in trouble in our town because we were in a town of like less than 500 people, mile by a mile square. We were literally an X on the map, and all of our neighbors knew us because my grandpa was in local government, and we always were getting in trouble for doing something stupid like throwing rocks at a lawnmower or different things like that, taking napalm out on a back road and lighting things on fire. But not that we were pyromaniacs. We didn't actually like things on fire, just the road and stuff. Now you would no one's barn was burnt. No, no crosses were burnt or anything. We didn't have any rallies or anything, but
What? What?
there was quite a bit of toilet paper thrown. But things
Well,
happen when you're a kid. But we were
yeah.
always getting in trouble for that, and we were taught, like, our parents, our grandparents came up and they said, "Listen, apologize. You know, fall on the mercy of that person to forgive you."
Mm-hmm.
And that's where your freedom lies, is that, once you ask for that forgiveness, you're free to go. It's, you know, yeah, you can do your time if it's an issue, you can clean it up or whatever you have to do, or go to jail, or, depending on how heinous this thing is. But I don't think we haven't taught, for one, your regular everyday person, but we definitely haven't taught our pastors, our leadership, or anybody in that's above, that tends to think they're someone special, that yeah, sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you're an idiot. And sometimes you just have to be like, look, I don't agree that I was an idiot, but I'm sorry.
Right. A little humility goes a long way.
Right. So, on that, I got serious fast.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. Sometimes we need a little bit of that. We need that, you know, come to Jesus meeting, and I'm going to arrange it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is what it's for, is just to kind of talk it out, be real. And if that's not you, then hand us a 20 on the way out. I know I am really panhandling for this, but we're short, and we're gonna have to do some reorganizing shortly if we don't come up with some funds here. So, there was an Indian man who broke his own Guinness World Record by typing the alphabet in 25.66 seconds. Which, you think, okay, that doesn't seem, that's a alphabet, that's a letter per second, basically, because there's 26. Using his nose.
That's crazy. That's less than one letter per second, or one
Yeah,
second per
with your
letter.
nose.
Yeah, with your nose.
Yeah. So Vinod Kumar Shaundari, something like that, 44, set the record for the fastest time alphabet nose in 2023, when he logged a time of 27.8 seconds. He then broke the record again later in the year with 26.73 seconds. This is his third breaking of the record at 25.6. Do you think this is like the fastest, or is this guy just getting in the record books like every year he's going to do? Like, because I read an article about the guy who was breaking the record for pole vaulting. And because nobody ever like puts pole vaulting in the record books, like nobody ever like, oh man, that guy pole vaulted a forever distance height. Every year he broke the record by a half an inch or an inch. And before he had started breaking this record, he had set up his contract with the government or with the Olympic Committee in his country, because it was like Norway or something, Finland or something.
Yeah.
He had set it up that he got such a big bonus for breaking the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like any country, they're like, oh yeah, if you break the record, we'll give you hundreds of thousands of dollars because you bring honor to our country and advertising and whatever. And so every year, then he would go and break the record by another half an inch or an inch. And so he did it like 17 times and made his fortune that way while still pole vaulting. And now there's another guy that's been doing that also, that's kind of taken his reins. Um, so is that what this guy's doing? He's going to break it by like another half a second every year?
I hope to hear about this again next year.
Yeah. I don't think that's what this guy doesn't seem that put together.
He's not that committed, you don't think?
So he also holds the record as the fastest time to type the alphabet backwards with a single hand.
Oh,
I didn't know there was records for these things, but 5.36 seconds, and the fastest time to type the alphabet with his hands with a hand behind his back at 6.78 seconds.
huh.
So he can type the alphabet backwards one-handed 5.3 seconds, but he can only, when you tie your hand behind your back and go the straight way, he can't go quite as fast.
All right. Well,
Right. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. Teach his own.
maybe Guinness is drunk.
Yeah. So his profession is typing, which is why he thought making a world record. This is his quote: "My profession has been typing. That is why I thought of making a record in which both my passion and my livelihood remain."
I'm glad he could achieve that. I'm glad
This
he could.
is like lifelong like ambition stuff. Like he's 44, so I don't know how many more years he's got in the prime of his typing career.
Right.
When do you hit your prime in typing? Do you hit your prime, like, is it a late blooming type deal? Is it like after 40 some years of typing, you all of a sudden it's now, ingrained in you? You can is this like
It's the next level, right?
maybe he can play this out till his 50s? Maybe he gets arthritis though and carpal tunnel and takes him out.
Yeah.
I hear that that's big in typists and keyboardists that they I don't even know that we call them typists anymore, but I don't know that anyone even knows of a typewriter anymore,
Definitely not that.
Yeah, does this like he's got like maybe a year or two left, 5 years left of in his prime. You better break as many records as you just can. Just go for it. Somebody's after him. Somebody's probably after his record, which is why he's breaking his own record.
Right. What's Lou Gehrig? He's returned.
He's reincarnated. Lou Gehrig as a keyboardist. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of this earth. I have been able to combine my love, passion, and my livelihood, and they will now remain.
That's funny.
Till Cal Ripken Jr. reincarnates himself, comes back and beats my record.
That's the man right there.
Cal Ripken Jr.
Yep.
He was good for baseball. He was definitely good for baseball. So.
Yep.
Well, Jay Boots, what'd you learn?
A lot of good stuff. I learned that you can commit a lot of business fraud and be rich, and no one cares.
Oh, they care, especially if you become president.
Right.
They're going to send you to jail for 130 some years.
Right.
Because they don't like your politics.
They don't like
but
Reagan.
You can almost run over a police officer, drag him with his own car while half naked. No one cares.
Right? There's that too.
I want to know what the I didn't even think about this, but what the shop owner of a lady runs into the shop half naked and runs into the shop half naked while her car is still moving in the parking lot. It comes back out, jumps in her car, and speeds off. What were they thinking? It's one thing that the car was like still moving and stuff, and you're like, oh crap, they're robbing us or something. But the lady was half naked.
Yeah, that's a fascinating story. Like you said, I think it should have been a Florida man story, but
Still, just half naked, running into the convenience store. That's what I want to know. What those people were thinking.
I want to know how many 7-Eleven gas stations were in the area.
7-Eleven. Did she get a Slurpee? Oh, that's terrible. Got the squishy and a microwave burrito.
Is that profiling?
Right, well, again, if you can help us out, get on our website, shoot us a couple bucks, follow, like, and share us. It's it for the Why I'm Angry podcast. One more time. Still with these Remember to follow, like, and share the Why I'm Angry podcast across all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. The Why I'm Angry podcast ends now.